God damn it, you bastards. Countdown's not even done. You're already redeeming shit. Like, come on. What is that? What is that? I will hydrate. I think that's supposed to be for, like, streamers that are going long and are, like, forgetting to drink. It's like, first thing, drink some water.
Yeah.
We want Rhino to have to pee midstream. Anyway, hello. Welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here. Discount Cirrus over there. This is...
I love being known as Discount Cirrus.
John is my sub for the evening. Godless Engineer. John... yeah, your last name is public, right?
Yeah.
Okay, John Gleason. I almost just blurted it out and then I'm like, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure it's public, but I should double check.
Yeah, there's like a lot of John Gleasons out there, so...
You'll never find him.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So, yeah. Welcome. Yeah, Cirrus wasn't feeling well tonight, and he's a fucking trooper, so he's all like, just so you know, I might not be at my best tonight because I'm not feeling well, and I'm like, do you need the night off? Just take the... It's a fucking stream where we make fun of some news articles. Like, you can have the night off. I'll figure something out. And, yeah, so he is resting up, or more likely working on something of his own.
Yeah, you know, he's been working a lot on the Magic the Gathering league thing that he's doing. So I know I was supposed to get with him sometime today, but I guess he wasn't really feeling up to it.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't cancel lightly. I had to talk him into it. Yeah, and also, yeah, if you guys... if you guys have news articles that you want me to cover, you can email them to news@vicerhino.com. It's not a guarantee that I'll cover them, because I got too many news articles this time, so there was like a couple that had to go on the cutting room floor. But yeah, there was actually one that was like, it came in at the last minute after I'd already set everything up, and I was like, God damn it, another thing, because like, I have way too many tweets this time, because everybody was stupid on Twitter. I've got too many news articles, because everybody was stupid in the news. And yeah, so, but it was one of those headlines that is like, I can't not cover this. This is right up my alley. So, anyway, that being said, let us get to the news. So, starting with, Florida School District pulls dictionaries and encyclopedias as part of inappropriate content review. This comes to us from CBS News, and this was sent to me by Anonymous.
Wait a second. They're just pulling whole ass dictionaries and encyclopedias.
Yeah. So I listened to all the Puzzle in a Thunderstorm podcasts. I forget which one they covered this on back when this law was first passed. It's the Florida House Bill 10. I don't know. We'll get to the number and the thing. But basically, the schools are not allowed to contain any books that have any descriptions of sex or sexuality or anything like that. I think it actually is in the same bill as the Don't Say Gay bill, where like the only sex ed you can teach has to be like straight straight cis sex. But like the joke that they were making on either the Skeptocrat or the Scathing Atheist, probably the Skeptocrat because this is more politics related, but the joke they were making on there is that like with the wording of this law, the dictionary should be banned. And now here we are. The dictionary is banned because when you look up sex in the dictionary, it's different in different dictionaries. The one that I looked up for this was a bit archaic. It was like when a penis enters into a vagina, or like that was basically it. And it's like, okay, there's a lot more to sex than that. That's like, come on. But like that is a description of sex.
Yeah.
So according to the letter of the law, dictionary banned.
Yeah, but I can't wait for them to figure out that fellatio is probably in there too. Also cunnilingus. Let's see, what else can we throw on there?
Well, we can just go to dictionary.com. Sorry, the crop is not going to be good in this, but start typing any word or phrase. Fellatio. Fellatio, oral stimulation of the penis, especially to orgasm.
There you go.
Oh, can't have...
Banned.
Dictionary.com blocked.
Banned. Blocked. They're trying to indoctrinate our kids.
Okay, my father is a librarian, and so he has many books of varying topics and genres and everything all over his house. And as a kid, I did find his sex book section, and I enjoyed some of the pictures of those sex book section. But it was also like, it wasn't just like a kid that like, oh, I found basically porn before the internet. It was also educational, because that was like the first time I saw a diagram of a vagina that was like labeled and everything. So like I knew where the clit was before I learned why I would want to know where the clit was. Yeah. Anyway, school district in Florida is looking to extend its state's book ban to an unexpected genre, dictionaries. So the list of banned books was obtained and published by the nonprofit PEN America. The Escambia County School District has included 5 dictionaries, 8 encyclopedias, and the Guinness Book of World Records in its list of more than 1,600 books that could soon be banned. I want to know what world record is sexually explicit. Lady with the biggest tits. Like, I don't know. Guinness...
Go ahead.
There, I was just gonna say, Guinness is kind of shit. Like, basically, it's pay to play. You pay them to send a guy out, and like, oftentimes they'll tell you that, like, hey, we don't have a record for this yet, so if you just do that, we'll send a guy out and give you the record for it. So, like, it's not like Guinness is educational. That's not, like, a great loss, but, like, it's a book. Like, and you know what? It might be full of shit records, but it can spark some curiosity in kids. Like, they can, like, I remember reading Guinness and then, like, using that as a springboard to, like, look up different things. Like, oh, that's a weird thing. I didn't know people could do that. And then I would start looking into it, and it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Otaku Senpai says longest penis. Actually, you know what? I think there might actually be a record for the farthest distance ejaculated.
Most frequent sex is one that comes up. Apparently the record holder for that is Scaly Cricket. Scaly Cricket.
I was going to say
Australia.
Okay, Scaly Cricket still doesn't sound like a good name for someone to hold that record, but Scaly Ricket is even worse.
And apparently it's 50. 50 total number. Let's see. The male Scaly Cricket. Ornithus apparata from Australia.
It's a type of animal. Okay.
Right.
I'm thinking of some dude named Scaly Cricket. I'm like, that's got to be a nickname. That can't be his actual name. But this is Australia we're talking about, so maybe.
Yeah. So apparently, it can copulate more than 50 times in 3 to 4 hours.
What about that?
All with the same female.
What about that mouse that I think is also in Australia that literally fucks itself to death? Like the male will, like, when it's mating season, it just has as much sex as it possibly can to the exclusion of all other activities, including eating. So it just, like, fucks until it dies.
Damn, that's some crazy stuff right there.
Yeah. So the list of books.
The world's strongest vagina. That's
what?
Definitely banned.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I got why this is banned.
Sorry, I'll stop looking up sex records.
Why? What'd you find now?
Oh no, I stopped after the strongest vagina. Like, okay, how do you test that? I guess you.
I don't know. That just seems kind of ridiculous. Just a second. I'm having minor technical difficulties, so I have to restart one of my thingamajingers. Copy that. And then... Yeah, it's not a stream with me unless you get some technical problems. Okay. Yeah. What is happening? That is not what I meant to do. Oh, that was the streaming chat dockable. That wasn't the. That wasn't what I meant to dock. Featured chat overlay is what I wanted. So I just like. Oh, that's a hydrate. No hats yet.
Hydrating.
This is the least number of hats that I've had since people discovered that. Okay. So Jassa says that's what she. Hey, it works now. There we go. Okay, I can highlight things again. There's the hats. Okay, now you have to put on a silly hat.
Okay.
And because this came at the end of my tech support thing that I'm going to be cutting out the final video, we both will suddenly just be wearing silly hats when it comes back to it. You didn't hear a word of what I just said.
No, sorry.
Yeah,
what did you say?
Because this came directly after my trying to figure out technical crap, I will cut this out of the edited video, and it'll just be suddenly we're wearing stupid hats for no apparent reason. Yeah, so the Freedom to Read Project is a nonprofit that was started in 2021 once Florida started to initiate book bans in schools across the state, and the school district has a list of books that have been formally challenged on its website as well, which shows that several books have already been restricted and removed, including Alice Sebold's Lucky, and a bunch of other books. Amusingly, one of the books that is banned is called Ban This Book. And it's the story of a kid who goes to the school library and discovers that their favorite book has been banned. And so then they start a reading a banned books club.
You know what's the most unbelievable part of that? The kid went to a public library.
No, it was a school library. Hey, I loved the fucking library as a kid. It was amazing.
Oh, no, I mean, I agree with you. I think it is too, but I don't know. In my experience, like, kids aren't going to libraries. like I mean, just because of the amount of access that you have online and everything like that. I feel like, if you need a book, you can easily go online and get a book in some kind of fashion.
Fun fact, most libraries have a partnership system with one or more audiobook provider that you can use your library card to borrow audiobooks.
Oh, that's cool.
You have to look up what they're like. If that's something that interests you, actually go to your library and talk to them about it, because I forget what the services are called. But yeah, that's definitely a thing to attempt to make use of. Libby. Fennec the Rabbit is saying is Libby. That is one of them. I have used that one. Yeah. So, according to PEN America, the list consists of more than 1,600 books banned pending investigation in December. Among titles on the list are, more list of titles. Anne Frank's Diary is banned. So,
yeah, I think in that one, I know that a lot of parents have had problems with that for a while because apparently Anne Frank describes masturbation.
Yeah, she does. It's the diary of a girl going through puberty. There's going to be some sexual content.
Oh, definitely. Like, I think it's ridiculous, obviously, but
like that's a historically important book that needs to be available. Also on the list are Merriam-Webster's Elementary Dictionary, the Bible Book, the World Book Encyclopedia of Encyclopedia. Remember when I said I'm not drinking scotch because I don't want to get too wasted tonight? I'm like not even halfway through my first beer, and it's just a baby can. Already saying things like encyclopedia. The World Book Encyclopedia of People and Places, the Guinness Book of World Records 2000, Webster's Dictionary and Thesaurus for Students, and the American Heritage Children's Dictionary. A children's dictionary! And with a name like the American Heritage Children's Dictionary, I almost expect that that's a dictionary that's been put out by, like, one of these gay people don't exist organizations.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like, at least.
But yeah, so I actually took a look at the book, or at the list. Just, it wasn't, like, not the whole list of 1,600, but just, like, one of the shorter lists. And, yeah, it's crazy. And the Bible is one that has been officially challenged. It has not But that's one that, of course, they fast-tracked the investigation into that one, and they found that it did not violate the rules, despite the fact that it is very explicit about sexual depictions in some places. Like, and there she lusted after her lovers whose emissions were like those of horses and genitals were like those of donkeys. Like,
yeah,
donkey dicks and horse cum is pretty sexually explicit, and that's without even getting to the whole book of erotic poetry that's in the Bible.
Yeah. The one that I like out of that, I don't know if this is from that particular section of the Bible, but I can't get past this one where they're like talking through a door or something like that, and like he puts his hand through the door and it says that the woman's bowels moved or whatever, and I'm like, wait, he put his hand under the door and she took a shit in it?
So that might have been a translation dependent thing, because I know and I don't know how true this is, because I learned about it in my Christian high school, and I've learned a lot of sketchy things from there that I've later found out were not correct. But one of the things that they taught me was that in ancient Israel, they didn't think of the heart as your emotional organ, because when you feel emotions, it's usually not in the heart, it's usually down in the gut. So like almost every time when the Bible is describing some emotion that is being felt in the heart, if you go back to the original text, the Hebrew word there would be better translated as bowels, because they feel things in their bowels. They don't feel it in their heart. So when you move me, you have moved my bowels.
Wow.
So that's one of those bits of...
Yeah, I've never been so moved by somebody that I shit myself, but I have sneezed hard enough for that, but never emotionally.
When I look into your eyes, it triggers my IBS. Yeah. CBS News reached out to the school district for comment, but did not hear back prior to publication. In a statement to the Messenger, a spokesperson for the district said the books have not been banned or removed from the school district. Rather, they've simply been pulled for further review to ensure compliance with the new legislation. They say that to suggest otherwise is disingenuous and counterproductive, but no, this is one of those things that should not, they're not technically banned yet, but pending investigation, they are not available to students. So they are effectively banned. It's one of those, it's like when you go to appeals court and a judge issues a stay for something, and that's like, whatever you've just done, that's not in effect anymore. That's essentially been canceled pending whatever investigation or whatever conclusions the judge comes to later. There's another hydrate.
It's a hydrate? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it is effectively banned, even if it's not technically banned. So the list shows that fewer than 70 books so far have been analyzed out of 1,600. So I did a little bit of math on this. This started happening last June. It started happening, but let's just give them the summer break and say that it started in September, because they weren't reviewing these books over the summer. They've only been doing it for the last 5 months. So it's been 138 days since September 1st, which that's, I don't know when school starts at different, some places it starts in August, some places it starts second week of September. So I figure that's a good jumping off point. They've reviewed 70 books in that time. So that's 0.5 books per day approximately. At that rate, it would take 3,200 days or 8.7 years to review all 1,600 books that are already on their list. And the list is only going to get longer as time goes on.
Yeah, and I believe that's due to the fact that there just really aren't that many librarians that are
they don't have
employed in the state.
In order to actually review these books in a timely fashion, they're going to have to create a whole new department at the school boards and hire a whole bunch more people. So this is it's effectively going to cost the taxpayers more money if they actually have to do this efficiently. If they actually do it efficiently, it's going to cost the taxpayers more money.
You know what this reminds me of a little bit, as far as the economics of it. It reminds me of how in Tennessee they passed this law where you would have to do drug testing, a lot of drug testing if you were going to be on welfare and other government assistance. And so basically they did a bunch of testing for like a year or something like that, and they really only found like maybe 1 or 2 cases. Like it was a really small amount of cases where it actually, you know, did its job. Otherwise, it was just a big waste of money. And so
they spent a lot of money trying to make sure that people who need money couldn't get money.
Right. And it seems like the same situation here. They're going to end up spending fuck tons of taxpayer money to not do anything to help taxpayers or to help children or anything like that, because they really don't care about children. Like, this isn't for the children. This is just another way for them to exert control over the populace.
Yeah, I mean, as the Catholic Church says, fuck them kids.
Yeah, exactly. In more ways than one for the Catholic Church.
Yeah. I just noticed that this is HB 1069, so like the no sex bill is the nice number. HB 1069 also requires schools to teach that reproductive roles are binary, stable, and unchangeable, which that's just scientifically not true. Like there was a study, it's only a mouse study, so it's not necessarily applicable to humans. It doesn't necessarily translate to humans, but in mice, they have found that there is one single gene that if they deactivate the gene in an adult mouse, that mouse will then, like, its gonads will actually change to the opposite sex of whatever it was born on. Oh, we gotta change hats now. I already took mine off because it gets annoying, but yeah, so no, get my fascinator. Yeah. See, the problem is the headband of my my headphones are like right there where I need to clip it.
I don't know. Is this coming across backwards on the screen?
It is, yes.
Okay. It says rock out with your
rooster. Rooster out.
Rooster out. Shit. Sorry.
It's okay. I doubt this one's going to be monetized anyway. Although, I've been having surprising luck with that on the Watering Hole channel, considering how vulgar we get at times. The fact that, like, right now I've got videos scheduled for every day that I don't stream up until January 30th, and only one of them is demonetized, and it's the one that we, like, the whole conversation was about anal sex. So it's like, And that one, like, I reported that myself as being demonetizable because it's like, no, reading the descriptions, we violated that. Anyway. Yeah, so, in mice, in adult mice, there's one gene that you deactivate that the gonad will actually change to the opposite sex. So if they had testes, you deactivate this gene, it'll change to ovaries. If they had ovaries, you deactivate the gene, it'll change to testes. And humans have the same gene. Like, everything about the way it works in mice suggests that it should work the same way in humans. So the idea that reproductive roles are binary, stable, and unchangeable is just, it looks like it is just, like, even if we take their stupid definitions of sex and gender, it looks like that's still not true. And that's if we accept their definitions, which are factually incorrect. So.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. So, according to the training presentation that was obtained by the Florida Freedom to Read Project and shared with CBS News, sexual conduct includes sexual intercourse, sexual bestiality, and sexual battery, among other things. Sexually oriented material, which is also banned, includes any depiction of sexual activity, uncovered human genitals, the presentation says. So, yeah, the dictionary violates that because it describes what sex is when you look up sex. And it describes what fellatio is when you look up fellatio.
Ooh, also copulation.
Yeah.
I believe probably, like, just any words that could mean a penis or have to do with a vagina. Either one would work, I would think. Because, like, conservatives are like, oh, you're going to say the P and the V word?
Yeah. And any book that is deemed questionable based on this law must be removed within 5 school days of receipt of the objection and cannot be returned to the shelves until it is reviewed, the bill says. So given how long the list of books is to be reviewed and how slowly they're doing it, that is effectively a ban. Because at this rate, a student in kindergarten will no longer be, like, maybe the school system's set up differently in Florida, but in Canada, it's kindergarten to grade 8 is usually at one school, and then grade 9 through 12 is high school. So someone in kindergarten could get all the way up to grade 8 before they review one of the books that was banned when they were in kindergarten. So that is effectively, that book was banned the entire time they were there.
Yeah.
You've got more comfortable hats than me. I'm like, I have to give up and take them off because it's hard to talk about this serious subject with a blue fancy fascinator hat bobbing in my vision.
Yeah.
So in August, the district was making great strides to adhere to HB 1069, which went into effect last July. So I said June. I was wrong. It was July that it went into effect. But according to the training presentation, the district started reviewing books last July and hopes to have all pulled books reviewed with a formal decision by May of 2024. I feel like that's not going to happen at the current pace.
No, I mean, they'd have to really pull it out of their ass, in order to get that done.
Yeah. And the Casey Meehan, program director of PEN America's Freedom to Read program, said Florida's new censorship landscape under laws like HB 1069 is robbing students of all kinds of important books and resources, such as those on major topics like the Holocaust and, shockingly, the dictionary. This is a massive overextension of the language of the law, which mandates against sexual conduct, and the school must return the titles immediately. I disagree with that a little bit. She's kind of putting the blame on the school board for taking the law at its word, essentially. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, as far as, like, from looking at this from the outside, it's like, it's not that the school board is being malicious about it necessarily, although malicious school boards in the States definitely do exist. But it looks more like the school board is just saying, hey, according to how the law is written, the dictionary violates the law. So we're going to take the dictionary out until we get official word back from the government whether or not it actually does violate it. And of course, they did that immediately with the Bible. Oh no, you can have the Bible in schools. I wonder if the Quran would pass.
Probably not. I mean,
I feel like it's a lot less sexually explicit than the Bible is.
Well, no, I could see them making a case, like, because I don't know where, like, it talks about exactly. I mean, like, I did a meme ages ago, so I mean, I know that it exists within the pages of Islamic scripture, but there's a lot of I guess explicit descriptions of Muhammad with Aisha. And so I think that would probably be where they build their, case on is that particular interaction.
I don't know what's going on, but Fennec the Rabbit keeps saying probably the weights like used for Kegels. I'm thinking that's with reference to what we talked about earlier with how you would describe or how you would figure out which, like the strongest vagina.
Yes, I would imagine that it's probably about.
And I don't know if there's a glitch. I don't know if there's a glitch going on where I just keep seeing that for no reason, but like it's coming up as like every third thing in my chat. But it's not showing up on. Okay, it's only showing up on one of the apps, so that's a glitch on my end. So Fennec the Rabbit, just know for the rest of the stream. Sorry, Fennec. Fennec emailed me one of the news items and was like, "You can just call me Fennec." I think I might be misremembering who it was, but like, just know that for the rest of the stream, I will be seeing that every like third line in the Twitch chat. Anyway, Stefan Ferell, Director of Research and Insight with the Florida Freedom to Read Project, told CBS News that within the last 5 months, fewer than 100 titles have been reviewed by the district. That's kind of repetitive because 70 is fewer than 100. I feel like that's the same thing. We applaud them for doing their due diligence to read and discuss every book before making a decision to permanently ban it from the schools, but they need more dedicated, trained staff to help support the effort. That's like, this is going to increase the cost of school for kids to the taxpayers. Like, this is just wasted money. Most of these books, though pulled temporarily, as the district has stated, will never be accessible in the school library for most current secondary students. Oh yeah, that's true. Like, it's like, I was going from like kindergarten to grade 8, but like this applies to high school as well, which is only 4 years. So like, if it's going to take them 8.7 years to get through these things, then like someone that's in grade 6 now will graduate high school without having these books available to them. So it's effectively a ban, even if it's not technically a ban.
Definitely. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous, in my opinion, because, you know, I'm not really so much up for censorship, except in specific cases, but this just seems like a bunch of snowflakes want to exert their ability to control, like, in some kind of way. And so that's just what it seems like to me, is like people that want to exert control on other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's happening in Ferell added that the guidance from the state's Department of Education is irresponsible. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. What's happening in Escambia is ridiculous, but it also is happening in many other districts to varying degrees. The language in the law is bad. The Florida Department of Education are the ones with the power to fix this. Until then, districts will continue to err on the side of caution, as they've been told to do at the expense of our children's education. That's what I was getting to, where it's not necessarily it's not necessarily the school district's fault. They are just trying to avoid costly lawsuits. Now, there's another hat. Wig time. Yeah, I don't know why I bother looking for the right way to put this thing on, because it doesn't go on over my headphones anyway. There we go. What's that one say? It's backwards again.
This shit is bananas.
Okay, I can't even see the bananas because your lights are too bright. Get dimmable lights, you...
I know. I should have gotten dimmable lights, but, you know, I didn't.
So yeah, on Wednesday, a judge ruled that the Penn America has joined Penguin Random House in suing the district over its removals. So like, they removed them to be safe from lawsuits, and now they're being sued for removing them. So it's like, it's a lose-lose for the school district. So maybe Florida should just repeal this horrible, horrible law. And on Wednesday, a judge ruled that the lawsuit can move forward, saying it has standing under the First Amendment. So, yeah. Florida be banning books. And
awesome.
It's not good. Next up. Canadian police warn that posting videos of alleged package thieves could be a violation of their privacy. This comes to us from Fox News, and I've got two stories from Fox today, guys. I'm sorry, but I did want to talk about this one because it brings up some interesting questions. So let's read the article first, and then we can kind of discuss it a bit at the end. It's fairly short.
Sorry, yeah, Casey was talking to me.
Yes, I figured that. So police in the Canadian province of Quebec warned citizens against posting surveillance footage of their packages being stolen because it could violate the private life of the alleged thieves.
Well, I'm sorry. They were on like my property.
Yeah.
So that should be like my, like, of course, if I was in Canada, I would think that it's on my property. It's at my discretion as to whether or not.
I would also think so. Okay. Sorry, that wig is just intolerable. I don't know why I even still have it. Yeah, so I am kind of on the fence on this one, actually, because I know I said we were going to read the article after. So the police did a really bad job of explaining this, but I think the reason that we got Sakura in my Twitch chat saying, I mean, it's Fox, is probably fake. This one's not fake. They really did say it. But like, I think what they're trying to get at is if you post a video online of someone stealing your packages, and then someone misidentifies that person as someone else, and then you go and like knock on their door because you posted it on Facebook and you found out where they live, and you knock on the door and be like, hey, you stole my package. What's wrong with you? Give me my package back. And it turns out that it was a misidentification. that could lead to legal problems for you. So this is kind of like, it's to protect due process, where like you can't just decide someone is guilty for yourself and go after them. Now, on the flip side of that, the police don't do shit when you get a package stolen, even if you have video surveillance. Like, several years ago, some guy was walking drunkenly down the street. My wife had left the van unlocked, and he was just like trying doors on all the cars on the street. He opened our van. He rummaged through. He took the change out of our thing. He took like a USB charger thing, and he took the key to my P.O. box. The police. We called the police. We showed them the video. They didn't do shit. We posted the video to Facebook. Within an hour, we knew who that guy was. We knew that he was a regular who did this sort of thing. Like, anytime he got drunk, he would go wandering around the neighborhood and try car doors. He still lives here. He actually got our vehicle again not too long ago. That time it was me that forgot to lock it, but there was nothing valuable in it that time, so he didn't take anything. Yeah, so like, and also I'm just assuming it was him because the camera that was above the garage doesn't work anymore. So our garage needs a new roof, and the power cord for the camera kind of got a lot of liquid where it's not supposed to. But yeah, so like, I'm just assuming it's him because he still lives here. We still see him every now and then. But like, I was able to go to the police with the Facebook post, and be like, this is the guy that they say it is. I don't want to press charges. I'm not looking for my USB charger back. I just want the key to my P.O. box. It's like, there's nothing valuable come to the... I mean, sometimes there's valuable shit come to the P.O. box because I have some very generous people in my audience for some reason. But for the most part, like, if he goes to my P.O. box, he's not going to be able to get anything. Like, he'll get like nice letters that were directed at me or something. So like, I got my key back. And it was like, that was all I wanted. I'm just like, just give me my key back. You can keep the $10 or whatever that you found. You can keep the USB charger. It's fine. I don't want to press charges. I don't need to press charges against some guy who's just desperate and at his worst. But I can see the flip side of that, where like, if my camera wasn't quite as good, and it looked kind of like him, but it wasn't him, and people that knew that he had this tendency were like, no, it was him. And then the police didn't do anything, and I went and knocked on his door and was like, hey, give me my fucking stuff back. Then that could leave me open to a lawsuit for like defamation or whatever. But they don't do a good job of explaining that that is probably the angle that they're going for. At least I hope that's the angle that they're going for, because if not, this is fucking dumb.
Yeah. I mean, I could see
Cute Dark Arts, who I believe is Stoff, says, no, as a drag performer, I'm putting my foot down, no glitter bombs. I think this is probably with reference to the Mark Rober Porch Pirate glitter bomb thing. Yes, that is Stoff. I have confirmation. So like, yeah, I can definitely see why glitter bombs would be a problem, but like, if you're a porch pirate, you kind of deserve it.
I agree with that sentiment right there. That you kind of, if you're a porch pirate and you know you get hit with a glitter bomb, you're just kind of asking for it. Like, that's not cool. Yeah, don't do that. But
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I could see it from that angle. Like, vigilante justice. I definitely don't agree with vigilante justice. Although when you were talking about your run-in with the guy and having the video and everything like that, I was like, I just want to kick his ass to get it back. But I think you're right. It's better to just, go through the proper channels and everything to get it done. But I could see your point here.
Yeah,
I can see your point.
I can kind of see both sides of this issue. But at the same time, I feel like their statement was kind of dumb, especially because they didn't clarify. So anyway, like, yeah, they said apparently they have people that are actually like following delivery vehicles, and when they see a parcel that's dropped off, if nobody comes to the door immediately, they'll just go and grab it.
See, that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, so like that's not just like a drunk guy wandering around your neighborhood at his lowest point in life. These are, and like, people are referencing the Mark Rober stuff. Yeah, and one of the things we learned from Mark Rober is that sometimes these porch pirates are not like lone actors. They are part of like a network of people who like steal stuff and then resell it on the black market or like as used goods, or like, oh, this fell off a truck, sort of thing. So yeah, it's oftentimes it's not necessarily some guy who's just at his wit's end or whatever. And yeah, you should go to the police. But unfortunately, often when we went to the police with camera footage, they were like, yeah, no, nothing we can do. I don't know who that is. And it wasn't until we posted it to Facebook that we got our key back. Because like, I would have had to like pay a fee to the post office to have them change the locks and give me new keys. But like, I was able to not do that because I got my key back.
Mm-hmm.
But they said you cannot post the images yourself because you have to remember in Canada we have a presumption of innocence, and posting that picture could be a violation of private life. So that's where like he's kind of alluding to the vigilante justice thing without explicitly saying it. So then if you get some proof that somebody might have stolen something, call the police, give that proof to the police, and then wallow in despair as the police say, okay, we'll put it in a file, and then not do anything. And so we'll do the investigation. No, you won't. Bring that person to justice? No, you won't. And file some charges? No, you won't.
No, you won't.
No. Like, if I know who it is, you might. But if I don't know who it is, because I didn't post it to Facebook, you're not going to do shit. Axo says hydrate some more. Yeah, and they say that you could face potential defamation charges according to CTV. I assume that defamation charges would be in response, like if the person was misidentified, because generally in defamation, like if the thing you accuse the person of is true, it's no longer defamation. So like if you say, hey, this person stole a package off my porch and they didn't do it, then that could be defamation. Whereas if you say it and they did do it and you have a video, then like, yeah, no, that's not defamation.
Well, I have intimate knowledge of this particular area of American law. I don't know how it is for Canadian law, but I know here in America, it's actually incredibly hard to prove defamation because
especially against someone who's private.
Right. You have to be able to prove that they like cost you in some kind of way, like cost you money, cost you your job, did some kind of damage, to your reputation.
And wait, no, it's against public figures that it's harder to get defamation, because I can say Donald Trump is an asshole without worrying about defamation because he is a public figure. And
well, I mean, true, but I think that like if I called some guy an asshole, just out in public, they wouldn't be able to take me to court for defamation because they would have to prove what kind of damage I did to him.
That was a very mild example, but like I had it backwards. It's public figures that it's harder to prove defamation against. Because private figures, like it's much easier for me to say like, hey, I was doing fine until this person over here. Well, okay, no, me, I'm a public I'm a public figure, but like, I don't know, my partner, private figure. If somebody like goes public with something about her and it goes viral and now she can't get a job because every time she applies for a job, they're like, oh, aren't you that person from this thing? I don't want to hire you. And it was false, then she could get defamation damages for that. Much easier than like if somebody did the same thing to me and I could no longer get a job because of whatever it was, because I'm a public figure. And you can say shit like that about public figures. Anyway, just wanted to clarify, I had it backwards. I've been corrected by Sakura in the Twitch chat, so thank you for that. Anyway, you were saying?
Oh, no, I was just saying that, I found out that it's incredibly hard to prove like damages and all this other stuff for my particular situation. So, like I said, I don't know what it's like in Canada. As far as the laws go for defamation, I know some places have a lot more lax laws on defamation, but here in the United States, it's pretty strict as to like how to prove defamation.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the article just went into quoting other people talking about it and posting tweets about it. But one of the things that I want to do, so on the original website on Fox News, is I use an aggregator thing to make these all formatted the same. In the original article on the in the comments, we got these two gems, which Al Sharpton of BS says Trudeau is just as bad as Biden spelled with an X, so I assume that's like comparing him to President Xi. The two worst leaders Canada and the US have ever seen, or at least in my 53 years. If this isn't the definition that liberals are now socialists, I don't know what is. Scary time to be a Canadian and an American. So socialism is now don't post videos of people stealing your packages because that might count as defamation of that person.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that factors into socialism, or how it proves
that
liberals
in any
are
way
socialists.
And then someone with the delightful username of libs equals losers says Canada is becoming the new USSR. Papers, please. Like, if anything, this is like an overprotection of people's privacy. This is an overprotection of your privacy. How is overprotecting someone's privacy the equivalent of show me your papers before you can do anything? No, this is literally like, not only do you not have to show papers, you're not even allowed to show someone's face who stole from you. Like, that is not, and like, these were just two of like the most ridiculous comments, but this was full of just completely batshit insane, because it's Fox. This is Fox News. They're not concerned with like factuality and shit. Okay. Next up, man arrested for building homemade bombs, making plans to blow up Satanic Temple. This came to us from WZZM13.com, which is an ABC affiliate, and it was sent by Progress Only. So again, that's news@vicerhino.com if you have news articles that you want me to cover. Starts with a completely irrelevant YouTube video of a completely different situation, so we can skip that. So Luke Isaac Terpstra, 30-year-old in Grant, Michigan, was arraigned on January 4th for building homemade explosive devices, then trying to get rid of them, according to Grant Police. The sheriff office received a tip on January 2nd from Terpstra's mother that explosives had possibly been thrown away in the garbage receptacle at her son's address in Grant. His stepfather came over to his home to help him pack when he got after he got evicted. When Terpstra commented that he needed to disarm and dispose of some explosives that he had. Terpstra's stepfather saw the explosives in a box and photographed them before he tried to throw the evidence away. Documents show he was asked by his stepfather about the explosives. He then revealed that he was thinking about using them on the Satanic Temple in Massachusetts, saying he had already drove there to scope out the location. So he told his stepfather he was targeting the temple because there are pedophiles there and they're bad people. This is the danger of right-wing rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they've been pushing the pedophile narrative anywhere they can, even like when there's zero evidence. Like, let's look at the Epstein client list thing. Like, there was no client list. If you're a pedophile running a racket where you're like bringing other people to fuck kids or whatever, you're not keeping a list of those people. Like, the so-called client list is just a list of people who happen to be on Epstein's jet. And the fact of the matter is that Epstein was a rich guy who threw money at people, and people often courted him in order to get that money. It doesn't mean that everybody who was ever on the jet was a pedophile. And case in point, like, I have every reason to want to associate Donald Trump with Epstein so that I can, increase my point that Donald Trump is a terrible person. However, after Epstein's first conviction for sexual abuse or assault or whatever it was, I think it was 2008, he was convicted and found guilty of that. After that moment, Trump stopped associating with him, along with a bunch of other people on the so-called client list, like Bill Clinton. So, like, when it came out that he's a sexual predator, a bunch of people stopped associating with him. But because they did at that time, there are like they're still like supposedly on the list that somehow they always omit Donald Trump from. But like this is like you go to the Pizzagate thing. Some guy goes to a pizza shop with an AR-15 because they're saying they're fucking kids in the basement of this pizza shop that doesn't even have a basement. You get the Sound of Freedom guy who is a sexual predator who has been charged with sexual crimes. That like his whole thing is like, oh, I'm gonna fight child sex trafficking. Meanwhile, his methods for doing that, if he was actually telling the truth about what he did, actually increased child sex trafficking because he created demand for something that wasn't there. So this right-wing rhetoric is not only harming innocent people that they're accusing of pedophilia with zero evidence, it's also harming the kids that they are supposedly trying to protect.
You know, I think it's incredibly hilarious that people will go to these links, like planning a bombing in this situation for the Satanic Temple, which they've only heard cultivates this culture of pedophilia, but yet, you know, since for a long time,
did they ever think of going to bomb a Catholic church? Because we have evidence of them condoning not necessarily openly condoning it, but their actions speak louder than words, and we know for a fact that they protect pedophiles.
Yeah.
But like none of the right-wing nut jobs are like, we need to bomb the Catholic Church. No, they're going after the Satanic Temple, who are just like, hey, bodily autonomy is important.
Yeah, you don't see anybody trying to raid a Catholic church because they're, you know, molesting young kids in there. Like, I mean, chances are, if there's a Catholic church that you're near, there's been some kid diddling that has happened in it. Yeah. Just the sheer number of churches that are wrapped up in this scandal in the Catholic Church is just astronomical.
Statistically speaking, every priest in the Catholic Church either is a pedophile or knows someone who is a pedophile and knows that they are a pedophile. Every single one.
And the higher ups in the Catholic organization have helped in some kind of way to hide pedophiles. Yeah.
And now I am not saying that we should use this to bomb Catholic churches. What I am saying is that the right wing is using this inflammatory language specifically to get people riled up, which will result, like it has resulted in people dying. Like this is right-wing terrorism. This is right-wing white Christian terrorism. Adam Broughton sent $5, says, on that topic, I had a friend tell me that Trudeau is known to do things to children like it's a well-established fact with zero evidence. Yeah. Like, Trudeau, I'm not going to defend Trudeau against much. Like, he's been documented in blackface, for fuck's sake. But, like, there's no evidence that he's a child sex predator. If there is, I want to know about it so I can be like, no, fuck that guy, put him in prison. But, like, there isn't. And like, let's be real here. I am not, like, this is not a partisan issue. If you are someone who abuses children, I don't care whether you've got an R or a D next to your name when you're in Congress. I want you locked up. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's the main thing I wanted to get into with this, is that, like, this is the result of the right-wing rhetoric is terrorism. They are fomenting terrorism. Literally. So Michigan State Police used robots to search through garbage cans and found what the bomb squad referred to as improvised explosives, IEDs, with the intent to harm people. Some of them were wrapped in shrapnel. One of the jars was even wrapped, like it had ammunition wrapped around it so that when it exploded, rifle rounds would go through the air. So those are not, those would not be nice bombs to be around.
No. I mean, he was serious about causing as much damage as he could, huh?
Yeah.
All because he doesn't like the Satanic Temple, or he's been brainwashed by, conservatives.
Yeah. Axo says, I heard IUD at first. It's a very different thing. Okay, last piece of news. We've got Oklahoma lawmaker targets furries in school with bill to involve animal control.
What?
This was sent to me by Fennec. And this was the one that was like, after I had planned everything out, I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to cover that, aren't I? And this is again from Fox News.
Wait, hold on. Don't tell me this has any kind of reference to like school kids or classrooms being issued litter boxes so that children can pee in it.
Not explicitly, but it's basically that. Yeah, so this is really short, so we're not going to go far with this, but so this is Oklahoma HB 3084. The bill authored by Representative Justin Humphrey would prohibit students who purport to be an imaginary animal or species from participating in school curriculum and activities.
What?
The bill would also prohibit students who engage in anthropomorphic behavior, also known as furries, from class. Now, the first part of that is like, if a kid actually thinks they are an animal of some kind other than humans, which humans are animals, but for the sake of the rest of this discussion, I'm just going to refer to humans versus animals. So a kid that actually thinks they are an animal, that is something that would be handled by a mental health professional. But like, here's the thing, like, that would be a mental health issue. They are now saying we are going to deny education to this child because they have a mental problem, as opposed to just like, let's get them the help they need.
Yeah.
Because it's not get them the help they need so that they can continue to thrive in the school curriculum and activities. It is bar them from participating in the school curriculum and activities. But then
I feel like this just doesn't, like, no, I'm not a furry, but I also feel like I at least basically understand like what a furry is, and I feel like children that are going to school, like high school, I'm guessing, I mean, they're not dressing as furries and going to school and everything. Like, I feel like this was
this is a question that my partner had with this is okay, well, first off, this is very poorly worded. Thank you, Fox News. You can't fucking write for shit. But students who engage in anthropomorphic behavior, anthropomorphic is a word that means behaving like a human. Like, when you anthropomorphize something, you take something that is not human and give it human qualities. So if they're behaving anthropomorphically, then that means you don't think they are human, but they're trying to act like they are. So, like, that is just completely nonsensical to begin with. Like, kids that act human can't go to school. But with what they intend...
They'll gotta act like Ron DeSantis.
Oh, yes.
Remember to smile.
Did you
You're
see that?
human.
Did you see that thing? I forget whether it was on a like it was on one of the late night show things where they did like a segment of like talking about Ron DeSantis, and it was like a fake advertisement for a drug that could fix the fact that when you smile, it looks like you just sat on your own testicles. Yeah,
he needs that.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. It was all about Ron DeSantis. If you take this drug, then it will make you more normal. So, like, Ron DeSantis used to be even worse than this, but now he only looks like he just sat on his own testicles instead. But yeah. Anyway, if we go with what this bill is trying to do with furries, people who like to dress up as animals, like, my partner had the questions like, how far does this go? Like, does this include a kid who wears like a hat ear headband to school? Or a hoodie that, like, the hood is some sort of animal thing. Like, would that be?
That's what I was trying to get at. I feel like the person that wrote this bill thinks that furry is what furry means is a child that goes to school and meows at people because they think that they're a cat, and then I have
a fucking kindergartner. He meows at everybody. That's actually, so he's my stepkid, and we have been having some issues with like it's a complicated situation, and you're he doesn't necessarily always like, he likes me, but he doesn't feel like he's allowed to like me. But like, he's 4 or 5. I think he's fine. Whatever. He's young enough that it's like it's a very complicated situation for him. And
right.
One of the ways we've started bonding is he's started acting like a cat, and he just meows all the time. And so, like, when he's like acting like he's mad at me, I will like look over him and go, "Meow." And then he grins at me, gives me a huge smile because he loves it. And it's hilarious and it's great. And it's a bonding experience that we have. So he still like acts like he doesn't like me, but I can see that you have fun when I go, "Meow." And we have whole cat conversations where he like meows back at me, and it's great. But like, that's a normal thing for kindergartners to do. I actually, when I was a kid, my parents almost put me in therapy because I acted like a cat so much that they were like, there might be something wrong with this kid.
Mm-hmm.
So like, this is something that we've bonded over. Is like, I told them like, hey, when I was your age, I did the same thing.
Right. Well, and I mean, again, like the person that wrote this bill kind of seems like they're from an era where if you did something like that, your parents would like beat the cat out of you or something.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I mean, that's what I get from this. I don't know who Justin Humphrey is or how old he is or anything like that, but it just feels like somebody that's like, well, you just need to beat you just need to beat that cat out of him, and and basically force your child to act what they deem to be appropriate, right? And I don't know, it just seems incredibly, this entire thing seems incredibly like toxic or abusive.
You want to know how it gets worse though?
Oh, how?
So according to this bill, if a parent cannot pick up a student found in violation of this bill, then Animal Control Services will be contacted to remove the student.
Are you fucking kidding? Do you know how fucking livid I would be if I couldn't get out of work or I couldn't miss a meeting or something like that to go and pick my kid up because the fucking jimmies of the local Christians are flustered?
What the fuck do you do if you work in animal control and you get one of these calls? Like, no, I'm not coming to trap a kid. Fuck off with that noise.
I know we're animal services and humans are animals, but this seems like a human services situation.
This also kind of gives away the game here, because like one of the excuses that they will frequently give with regards to like, oh, I can't refer to a trans person with their preferred pronouns because that would be enabling their delusion. It's like, what is more like if a kid actually has a delusion that they are an animal, calling animal control on them would reinforce that delusion. You didn't call humans, you didn't call my parents to come and get me. You didn't, well, I mean, they probably did, but the parents can't. But like, you didn't call police that deal with human beings. You didn't call an organization that deals with human beings, or like FACS, in Canada, FACS is Family and Children's Services. It's like Child Protective Services in the States. Like, you didn't call one of those organizations. You called animal control. So I must be actually an animal. You have now just affirmed my delusion. But like, you can't call a trans man he, because that would affirm their delusion, and we don't want to do that because we are concerned with their mental health. Fuck off. You're not concerned with anybody's mental health. You just want to make a fucking stand.
Yeah.
You just want to be loud and get your sound bites in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely don't care about actually helping people. And I feel like recently it's actually been fairly well established that they don't care, because it's like, well, when Uvalde happened or any of the other school shootings that happened here in the States, after that, they tried to pass mental health laws and everything, and the Republicans voted against that. And they said that mental health was the primary driver for all these school shootings and everything, but
they vote against mental health care.
Which means that they don't actually care about solving problems. They need the problems so that they can push their own bullshit. Yeah. And they don't want to fix the problems because then they don't have a reason to push, their bullshit.
Fennec brings up a good point. Wait, can we also talk about how comparing people to animals is like a thing that genocidal people do? Yeah, dehumanization is one of the stages of genocide.
Racist ideology too.
There are people in the chat that are like, they are animals, they are primates. Like I said at the beginning, though, like we are talking about like human animals versus non-human animals, it's just easier to say animals in this case rather than specify that every single time. But yeah, no, this is one of the stages of genocide, is dehumanizing people. And like, this is clearly a dig at trans people, because this is the thing that's always brought up with trans people, even though it never fucking happens. They'll be like, oh, trans people can't be, like, we can't accommodate trans people because like they will, then there'll be trans species people who are demanding litter boxes be in the washrooms. Sorry, I feel like this is a really bad spot to put on a silly hat. But the Twitch gods must be appeased, so.
Especially mine.
What's... Ba means no.
Ba means no.
As a person of Scottish descent, I take offense. Only I get to make the sheep fucking jokes. Yeah, so I guess this ends that discussion because I can no longer be serious with this on my face.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could. Nope, I put it on upside down. It's staying upside down.
I mean, you're basically a furry at this point, so they're gonna have to call animal services to take you away.
Yeah, I'm a horned demon, not a human.
I was thinking bull, but yeah, demon, that works too.
Yeah, no, these are my Satan horns from my Satan versus God sketch. Or no, it was like how God came up with like some of the Bible laws, and, like the idea of sacrifice. I don't know. Did you see that one?
I hadn't seen it, but I did see you like in it, like in your horns.
Yeah. So it was basically God is like, hey, Satan, check this out. I found these people that'll do whatever the fuck I say, no matter what, no matter how crazy it is. You're like, hey, you peasant down there. I'm mad at you for planting beans with barley. So like kill a goat and spread its blood around. And then the peasant did it. He's like, see, like they do anything. Thing. So it's like, yeah, just like God is like a drunken frat guy being like, look what I can make these people do. Anyway, since I'm wearing a silly hat, let's get on to a silly person. Kevin Sorbo.
Oh my God.
So he retweeted a guy who said, who the fuck would vote for Donald Trump as a Canadian? I seriously do not understand this. Kevin Sorbo says, you're Canadian. Who cares? You don't have any rights, so you wouldn't understand why we want to keep ours.
So Casey retweeted this tweet from Kevin Sorbo, and she got so much shit from it. People were pedantically arguing with her about bullshit. I don't understand. Like, people get so... Like, American exceptionalism is this weird thing where it's like, we're the best. Like, we're the only free country on the planet. Like, no, you're fucking not. Canadians have rights. And, like, okay, first off, let's just take what he's saying here at face value. You don't have any rights, so you don't understand why we want to keep ours. How did the Revolutionary War happen if people that don't have rights don't understand why people would want to keep rights? Like, that was people who didn't have rights fighting for their rights. I mean, like, it was the right to be represented before getting a 2-cent tax. But still, they wanted rights. Right.
And Britain was like, no, fuck you. And they were like, no, fuck you harder. And they won that one. But, like, why do you think that people that don't have rights, like, even if it's true that Canadians don't have rights, why would you think that would make us incapable of understanding why someone would want rights? Would that not make us even more capable of understanding that? Like, oh, you need to understand how important your rights are because I don't have that in Canada, so you need to really protect that. I wish I could be like you guys in the States with all your rights. Like, would that not be what actually happened there?
Right. And I'm wondering what rights Donald Trump is protecting exactly. Like,
he's not. He's flat out saying, I'm going to be a fascist dictator.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, at least one other Republican candidate is like, oh, full on fascism. I'm right there. That would be DeSantis. Like, he's full on fascist. Like, he's even more fascist than Trump, I believe.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just so ridiculous to think like, well, I have rights. What I think it is maybe is that Donald Trump always plays that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. It's
on last
what the fuck is that lyric?
On last week's stream, we covered a story where like there was the Trump bucks thing where all these scam companies are popping up where they're selling people Trump bucks and saying you could, like, if you buy Trump bucks from us, then you can go to the bank in like 3 weeks and redeem it for like 10,000 times what you paid us for it. And it's a complete scam, but like every single one of these companies has Patriot in the name because real patriots support Donald Trump. Superfluous fun with anal glands says 2 cents in 1776 equals 2 million in 2024. Yeah, that might have something to do with it. Yeah, but like aside from that, like Canada has this thing called the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which like lays out what rights we have that are protected and what freedoms we have that are protected. Kind of like y'all's Bill of Rights in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a lot of the same ones in there. It doesn't have the Second Amendment, though, so it's not real freedom. Never mind that, like, you can still get a gun in Canada. It's just a little bit harder. I don't know. K-Sorbs is an idiot.
K-Sorbs is a dipshit for sure.
Yeah. No, like, we have fucking rights. Like, I can, like, the fucking Freedom Convoy or whatever, they still assemble every now and then. Like their numbers get smaller and more pathetic every time they do. But like every now and then you still see like a bunch of idiots get together and be like, fuck Justin Trudeau. Like there's a house not far away from mine that flies, like they used to fly the Canadian flag, but since the Freedom Convoy thing started, they fly a fuck Trudeau flag. They're flying profanity in public for kids to see. And they're allowed to do it because they have the freedom of, like Canada has the equivalent of your First Amendment. And thank you, Jassa. Jassa's like 1 cent in 1776 is 35 cents in 20. We know that was the $2 million thing was a joke.
Yeah.
But thank you. Thank you for being technically correct. I do appreciate that because like I definitely had to resist the urge to Google that myself. But like, yeah, no, we have the freedom to protest the government. We can, like, I can say Trudeau's an asshole for being in blackface. And that's fine. I'm not going to get arrested for that. And like you can protest in Canada all you want. We have a lot of the same rights that you guys have. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lobo says, you've got to appreciate the irony of climate protesters trudging through a foot of snow and negative 30-degree wind chills to yell about how the planet is warming. They just don't see it, do they? So does anyone want to explain to Lobo the difference between climate and weather?
I don't think that she would understand the difference between climate and weather. Like, I really think that she could look at the definitions.
Not, no.
You know, we'd have to smuggle her a fucking dictionary, right? But she can look at the definitions.
She's not in Florida, though, so she's allowed to have a dictionary. Yeah, no, so, like, so this is one of those things that I don't get. It's so fucking dumb, because, like, they haven't finalized the numbers for 2023 yet. So, as of 2022... 9 of the 10 hottest years ever recorded in human history were in the last 10 years. And the 10th one was 2010, so it's not far away from us. And 2023 is expected to be the hottest year on record, so that'll bump 2010 off the bottom spot, and now the last 10 years will all be the 10 hottest years on record. You can't tell me there's no global warming if the last 10 years are all the 10 hottest years on record, with a trend of the more recent years being the hotter ones.
Yeah.
And like, I remember in Canada, I'm a Canadian. Growing up, we had to plan our Halloween costumes around fitting them over top of our snowsuits. Today, it's usually pretty warm on Halloween. We just need to like plan them around the rain that's going to happen. But we used to get snow on Halloween regularly when I was a kid growing up. Now we get rain. We might get one snow before Christmas, and then usually the snow doesn't settle in until like late Jan. Like we only just now got our first like real snow of the season. That seems like it's going to stick around and make it winter. But like normally that would happen in like November.
Yeah, we actually got snow. I say that like that because it's actually snow and ice, and it was only snow, like the portions that were snow was only snow for like maybe a day, and then like it would get heated up by the sun and then quickly turned back into ice or turned into ice. So now like our roads are fucked, and like our state's not doing anything, or our county,
so
city.
Fennec is asking what state you're in.
No, I'm in Alabama. So, even the threat of like a dusting shuts down the entire fucking state.
I remember that there was one time I drove to Florida that on the way back, there was like a snowstorm that was like following us north, but it was like one of those unprecedented ones that like brought like 1 centimeter of snow to states that just aren't used to any snow. So like everything was being shut down, and we're like, we have to keep ahead of the storm. Because like we're Canadians, we can drive through that shit, but like I don't want to get stuck by closed roads. Adam Broughton says 2023 is the first year I remember Rideau Canal not opening. So 2022 was actually the first time. I think it was the first time for all of my kids that we had a white Christmas. Like a white Christmas was a fairly normal occurrence when I was a kid, but like that massive snowstorm that killed our power for 3 days, actually was their first white Christmas. And it's the only one they've had so far.
So, I mean, I remember as a kid, even here in North Alabama, like every winter there would be like a snow. Maybe not to the point where shit would get shut down, but like I remember several winters like where there was like snow was a regular thing. Like I remember my family, they would make snow cream, where you would take snow, like it would actually snow hard enough so that you could actually scrape off the top layer and then get some snow to actually make snow cream with, and they'd make snow cream. But like for the longest time of my adult life, like it just hasn't been like that at all.
Yeah. Superfluous fun with anal gland says go big or go home, Rhino. The snow. Yeah, that's what it was. It was and climate change, like yes, the average global temperature is heating up, but that leads to more extreme weather events, including cold ones. Like this is another polar vortex year where the polar vortex is destabilized. So a lot of that frigid Arctic air, because of the warming, the polar vortex can't contain it anymore. And so it's allowing this really cold Arctic air further south, which seems paradoxical, but like the warming actually makes it colder for the northern hemisphere because the jet stream is not as stable. But of course, Lobo can't understand that because like she's only capable of understanding things that can like be equated to blowjobs in a theater. No, sorry. Hand job. Sorry, it was a hand job. That was a bit far. It was a hand job. It was an over the pants hand job. His dick never came out.
No.
But that's the party of family values, y'all.
It definitely is.
Yeah. Another Lauren Lobo says, it's been Trump since 2016 for me, and it's going to stay that way. Trump 2024 today, tomorrow, and every day after that. She doesn't know how the time dimension works. It's like, will it still be Trump 2024 in 2025? Like, even if he wins, it's no longer Trump 2024.
I don't know. There's no way she could.
Anonymous just gifted a subscription to Hellbound Hillbilly. So thank you, Anonymous.
Oh.
Sorry, go on with what you were going to say. That was very insightful. Thank you.
Yeah. There's no way that she could mean something along the lines, and I've heard conservatives say this before. There's no way that she could mean like sort of like a Trump dictatorship that extends past like the 4-year term. Do you think that maybe that could be behind this?
Maybe. I could see her wanting that. It's like if she has to if her and Marjorie Taylor Greene have to continue to rely on winning elections, that's not going to sustain them for very well. Maybe MTG, like Lobo had to actually like change districts in order to like make it more likely that she's going to win. MTG is in a pretty solid red district where like as the incumbent she can basically do whatever the fuck she wants. But yeah, no, this sounds like this does sound like a call for a Trump dictatorship. Like, if he wins in 2024, is she still going to call for Trump every day after that, even after his term is over? Probably, because they fucking lick every area of his cock and balls in desperation for him to show them even like the slightest bit of admiration.
Was it Lobo or Marjorie Taylor Greene that had the cutout of Trump where she rubbed his dick area?
I want to say that was Marjorie.
Who was it, hon? Yeah, you both said Marjorie Taylor Greene, so I'm guessing it's Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, Lobo rubs the dicks of real guys on camera. Marjorie Taylor Greene just rubs the cardboard cutout dicks.
And then fucks her personal trainer, right?
Yeah, something. Let's not even get into that. Oh, Frank Turek. So Frank Turek is actually scattered kind of randomly throughout this thing. I don't know how it decided to put him like that when I labeled it all alphabetically, but that's where we are. He says, the difficulty we experience in this world gives us an opportunity to enhance our capacity to enjoy God later. How does that work for people that go to hell, Frank? It's like, seriously, in his worldview, my wife is currently in hell, being tortured forever. Now, best case scenario here from the Christian worldview is that happened so that I will come back to God. So does that mean that my soul is worth more than hers was? Am I more important than she was?
Well,
is that what he's saying?
I mean, that it seems like, yeah. I mean, obviously that's what it seems like, but I guess I'm a pretty big stickler for like trying to understand the actual mechanics of stuff like this, because like I don't understand how this actually works. Like, the difficulty that we experience in this world gives us an opportunity to enhance our capacity to enjoy God later. How does us like having difficulty enhance our capacity
it's like
to appreciate God?
It's like the bad times make the good times better, I guess.
I mean, sometimes the bad times are bad enough to where it sucks the good times out. I mean, I've been in that situation before, and
so
I just don't. I don't understand. I guess I just don't understand like how this actually connects like practically in reality. I mean, I get what he's trying to communicate here, but ever since I left the faith, one of the things that I did while I was in the faith was just, somebody tells me some bullshit like this, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that. But since I've left the faith, I'm like, wait a second, how does that actually work? Like, I don't understand, because God would be the one putting us through the difficulty.
So I think Stoff in my Twitch chat has it solved. It's
okay.
Anal training for God.
Oh my God. Good Lord.
It's like stretching. The more you stretch, the less pain it is to stretch again.
That's why God has you go face down, ass up when you pray to him.
There you go. So Stoff solved it. Thank you, Stoff. Alan Tudyk. I fucking love Alan Tudyk. He's amazing. So Biden Harris HQ on Threads posted Tommy Tuberville. I know it's Tuberville, but I pronounce it Tuberville because I like Potato Town. It just, it suits him. So Tommy Potato Town claims that he has been talking with a lot of scientists and they all say that man-made climate change isn't real, which says that he wasn't actually talking to climate scientists. But Alan Tudyk reposted that saying, I've been talking with a lot of biologists and all say that Tommy Tuberville is fake. He's just a pig bladder full of old jockstraps and farts masquerading as a United States senator. Fucking love Alan Tudyk.
That's actually accurate. I mean...
Yeah. I have no notes. Perfect. I am a leaf on the wind.
I am so fucking embarrassed by Tommy Tub of Shit. I mean, I really am. I mean, he's a former coach and he should have stayed a former coach. Like, he's a former coach that decided to teach science, but he decides, oh, I'm going to put my own spin on this shit.
Oh, wait. Is that your senator?
I believe so.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
Hold on, let me check. Is Tub of Shit our senator or is he a senator?
Potato Town, come on. Potato Town. Address him by his proper name.
What do you mean in another area?
Well, I just didn't know if Tub of Shit represented us.
Senators for the whole state.
Whole state, okay. Our 4 areas, got it. Right. Yeah. So yes, he's our Tub of Shit. Sorry, Potato Town.
He's our Potato Town. I just wanted to point out that Alan Tudyk is great. And I watched Rogue One not too long ago, and K2SO is one of the best parts of that movie.
Yeah.
He's only got like 15 lines in the whole thing, but everyone is a gem.
It is, yeah. I loved him in that, and I mean, pretty much everything Alan Tudyk has done. Oh, especially Resident Alien. He's pretty good in that.
He fucking nailed it as Hey Hey the Chicken in Moana. That was him. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, my kids call that chicken Hey Hey 2SO because K2SO is the robot he plays in Rogue One.
I gotcha.
All right. Anyway, okay, Naked Mole Rat. This is a person who followed me on Twitter for years, so I was a little bit disappointed at this. But, like, I posted a silly reversal of Romans 1:18 through 20, where it's like, you know how they're all like, oh, you guys are atheists just because you want to deny the truth in your unrighteousness because you just want to sin. And I posted a silly little reversal of that, where it's like, Christians are actually more moral than the God that they claim to worship, but they just deny that truth in their righteousness. And I thought that was, moderately clever. Worth posting on Twitter, at least. Like, it made its way into one of my videos. I'm like, that was clever enough. I'll post it on Twitter. Like, I'm not fucking Keats or anything with my wordplay. But, like, yeah, no, I'll post that. And then this person took that as like, oh, well, you said that church people are moral, but like the church, like the Catholic Church especially, endorses kid fucking, essentially. I'm like, yeah, no, kid fucking's still bad. But they were like, look, if you want to support the church that enabled and protected pedophiles for decades, that's on you. But in my opinion, it's disgusting and evil as you can get. But hey, you do you. And then they blocked me. I'm like, I'm on the same side as you here, brah. Like, yeah, the church is fucking evil. That's kind of my point with the whole, you are more moral than this thing you claim to worship, which is a thing that the church has described to you. So, yeah, I was kind of disappointed at that because Naked Mole Rat, as like, I've interacted with them quite a bit, but it's like, you're really going to block me over this? Like, that I didn't, like, my original post didn't even have anything to do with this. And like, I agree with you. Catholic Church fucking sucks.
Yeah, I've
But some people are just looking for something to be angry about.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been blocked by people on Twitter for, just basic shit. So I totally understand being disappointed by that.
Yeah. So, Naked Mole Rat, if by any chance you're still watching this, like, we're on the same side, man. I agree, the Catholic Church fucking sucks. I just think that, like, the general population is better than the church that they attend. And Fennec is saying Matt Walsh is Catholic, pretty sure. Yes, Matt Walsh is Catholic, and we'll get to him. I got some Matt Walsh coming up.
He seems like a trad cath.
Yeah. Might be next, actually. Yeah, okay, so Matt Walsh. First thing we're going to do, I would like to play the video that contained his joke.
Okay.
So let's listen to this.
But, of course, 97% of us are buying the Valentine's Day gift on the way home from work on February 14th. But buying a Valentine's Day gift for your wife a month early is the gayest thing you could do. Don't do that, because if it's January 3rd and you tell your wife, I got you Valentine's Day gift already, she's going to say, so you're gay. Well, that kind of ruins Valentine's Day, doesn't it?
So, Matt Walsh, like, that whole thing, so I don't want to get into the whole, like, is it gay to buy your wife a present early? Like, no, obviously fucking not. Like, loving your wife is not gay. Like, it's just a fact. Loving your wife, not a gay thing. But, like, did that sound like a joke to you?
I mean, no, I mean, he sounded like he was being serious about it. And
like, towards the end, so towards the end, I can admit that there was a bit of humor towards the end where it could be like, if your wife finds out you're gay on Valentine's Day, that's going to ruin Valentine's Day. Like, that's a little bit amusing. I could see how someone could find that funny. But, like, the rest of that sounded entirely serious. And so now I have, we can go through this pretty quickly. So Dana Loesch says, I would think that a bitchy man is the gayest of the gay. He retweeted that saying, Dana, do you not realize that Media Matters is taking an obvious joke and pretending I was serious? Or are you pretending you don't realize that? You're pretending you don't realize that. I understand why the humorless left jumps on a Media Matters dog pile, but not sure why you're joining in. It's like, that didn't sound like a joke. That was not an obvious joke. That sounded like you legitimately think people who buy Valentine's Day gifts early are gay. Like, the joke came from, if your wife finds out you're gay on Valentine's Day, that'll ruin Valentine's Day. That was the only thing that even approached humor in there. The rest of it sounded entirely serious.
Yeah, I mean, this really does sound like a situation where he made a risky statement, and he's getting pushback, or he's getting poorly represented, or whatever, which is just accurately representing him, I guess. And now he's like, it was just a joke, guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
So that's the next 4 tweets. This is him. So he says, is this really because of my joke about Valentine's Day? The bar to trend on this site is way too low at this point. Do better, everyone, because he was trending. Then he's like, folks, calm down. Yes, I said it's gay to buy your wife a Valentine's Day gift more than 3 days ahead of time, but the good news is you can buy an anniversary gift up to 6 days ahead of time without becoming a homosexual. I can see how that is a joke. It's not a funny joke, but I can see that the elements of a joke are there. The science settled on this. Like, okay, not very funny, but I can see how this tweet is a joke. I don't find it funny, but if somebody finds this kind of humor funny, I could see how you could consider this one a joke. The original thing, that wasn't a joke. That was him talking seriously. Then he says, serious question, when Media Matters takes a clip of me obviously joking around about something and posts it like it was meant to be serious analysis, are the rest of you pretending to not understand that it's a joke, or have you actually sincerely been fooled by Media Matters? So, like, this gets into the territory of, like, a joke is no longer funny if you have to explain the joke. He's gone past that and has to explain he doesn't just have to explain the joke. He has to explain that there was a joke. Like, if your joke is so bad that people can't tell you were joking, it's not a good joke. It might not even be a joke. It might have been you being serious and then got backlash and are now like, I'm going to pretend like it was a joke in order to avoid the backlash.
It's a joke, guys. Come on. A joke. I mean, damn.
Like, this guy's a fucking idiot. Like, I don't know. Like, does he think what he said there was funny? Like, I mean, it's funny in the sense that, like, you think loving your wife is gay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's funny.
I mean, this totally sounds like it's coming from a guy who thinks that, you know, showing emotion, showing love, and showing appreciation and all that it is like some kind of effeminate thing, right?
No, you know what it is? I just connected it. You remember how earlier I said that, like, my dad had all these books and I knew where the clit was before I knew why I would want to know where the clit was? Matt Walsh is the opposite of that, where he never found out where the clit was and is like, I never found out where it was and I don't know why I would want to know that. And he just stayed that way. And so now he has to pretend that providing good things for a woman is a joke.
Oh, if you ever really want to feel better about, like, yourself in general, what's that one group on TikTok, hun? It's Roe versus Bro. Have you seen those?
I have not, no. That sounds amazing.
Roe
versus Bro?
Yeah, it's Roe v. Bro. Basically, it's a group of women. They go and they interview guys on the street about common women's anatomy.
Oh,
right.
You know what? I probably have seen these. This sounds familiar.
Yeah, and like I watched it with KC, and like I didn't get every single answer exactly correct. Like there was a couple where I was just a little off, but I was way more correct than the people that they were interviewing.
Yeah, no, some of them are just like, oh my God, man, just shut your mouth. Just shut your mouth. You're just going to make it worse for yourself. Don't even try to explain.
Yeah, and I feel like Matt Walsh would be one of those guys that just like doesn't know anything about like women's anatomy or anything like that. And it would just be hilarious. But anyways, it made me think of that.
Fennec says I had to give an X an anatomy lesson / vulva tutorial. Yeah, like a lot of guys don't even know that there's a difference between a vulva and a vagina. Like there is. Those are not the same thing.
That was one of the questions the women asked them.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, 100%. I actually had like we went to bed later than we intended, and then as we were laying in bed, I don't know why I brought this up. I forget, but like we had an in-depth conversation about the fact that like I've been present for 2 different people getting an IUD inserted in the doctor's office. And I remember seeing a post about like, were you offered painkillers before your IUD insertion? Were you advised to take painkillers before your IUD insertion? And I'm like, from the 2 experiences that I've had, it seems like it's not that bad of a procedure. But then there were people in the comments of this post being like, yeah, no, like I was screaming at the top of my lungs and the doctor just like was like, oh, you're being ridiculous. You're exaggerating this. Why are you doing this? And like, from my experience, I'm like, it doesn't seem that bad. Like they both squeezed my hand a little bit hard when it was going in because yeah, it's painful. But like some of these descriptions were like, it's like super duper. It's like childbirth level pain. Like I passed out. There was so much pain. And so we had like an in-depth conversation of like, what, like how much pain do you endure at the doctor's before they actually listen to the fact that you're in pain, sort of thing. And like, that's something that like women are often just dismissed in the doctor's office. Like, no, that's not actually painful. You're just being dramatic. You're being emotional. And,
oh no!
Yeah,
so,
Cute Dark Artist is saying like, it goes through the cervix, right? And like, yes, and I know that that's painful, but like, I don't have a cervix, so I don't know how painful that is. The only experience I can draw from is the 2 people that I've been in the office for the insertion, and both of them took it like champs, which left me with the impression that that's not that bad of a procedure. But then like everybody in the comments of this thing was like, no, that's fucking the worst. And like that, yeah, they should give you like morphine or something, or they should put you under and like give a general anesthetic. And, but it's like women are just expected to endure more pain. And then when they say they're in pain, the doctors, usually male doctors, don't believe it. Now, like, maybe in both instances, it was a female doctor doing the thing. So, like, maybe there's a technique that they know that, like, will make it less painful or something. I don't know. But, like, these are the conversations that I have with my partner as we're, like, trying to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I can advocate for the fact that doctors seem to, in certain instances, I guess probably more so with women, don't listen to their patients about these kind of things. Because, like, I had bariatric surgery in October of last year, and going into surgery, I couldn't drink anything 24 hours before, or couldn't eat anything 24 hours before. And obviously, like, my pancreas doesn't put out any kind of insulin. So naturally my insulin or my sugar was going high. Well, we got, I got through the surgery.
I remember this. Yep.
Yeah. I got through the surgery and everything like that. And they just were not giving me enough insulin. Like, they weren't listening to me at all.
Wasn't it like the wrong kind of insulin as well?
Yes, it was the wrong kind of insulin and the wrong dosage and everything. And then this what they call a hospitalist, which is basically the guy that's over the general hospital portion. They called him in, and, like, he comes in and he's like, yeah, well, looking at your readings here, you might be insulin resistant. I'm like,
yeah, we've been telling you that.
No shit. It's like, sometimes, in these cases, you just need to have you some celery. And I'm like,
God damn it. Yes, I remember that too. You were telling us about that.
And so they sent me into ketoacidosis, which is basically when your blood becomes a bit acidic and all of your levels are off, and it's very detrimental. You could die from it. Mm-hmm. And so I started going into ketoacidosis until they were like, we're going to start giving you what your dosage says. And so, like, they start giving me the proper amounts of insulin. I was able to eventually go home and everything. But yeah, all of this to say that doctors in certain instances will not listen to their patients. Yeah, and I guess this is one of those instances.
I don't know how active, I don't remember how active you were in the chat at this time, but Casey was, like, fucking livid at that point. It's like, I fucking told them that this type of insulin doesn't work. He needs this type of insulin. We've been dealing with his condition for years now. I fucking know this. He's tried that one before. It's not going to work. And the doctors were just like, nah, we're going to go with this one.
Oh, I was totally fucked up after that. Like,
yeah, it was not good.
In ketoacidosis, like, my mouth got, like, really, really dry. I mean, like, cotton mouth for hours, and to the point where I actually gagged a bit because I couldn't swallow, and and I wasn't allowed to drink either. So, like, it was extra horrible. And so no, I was not very active at that point.
Yeah. Oh, Casey was livid. Like, she's a good woman. She's a good person to have on your side when you're going through something like that.
Oh, I know.
She does not take shit from anyone. Anyway, back to Frank Turek. Says, there's no moral obligation to obey the law of gravity, but you might have a moral obligation to persons. If there's no ultimate personal being, then there's no moral obligation to do anything. What the fuck does the law of gravity have to do with this?
I don't know.
Like, do you even have a choice whether or not to obey the law of gravity? Moral obligation or no?
No, I don't understand. Like, this seems just like a non sequitur. Like, the shit's just not connecting for me.
It's not. No, it doesn't make any sense. I'm just like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Like, and if there's no ultimate personal being, then there's no moral obligation to do anything. It's like, do you not have empathy? Like, if you don't have empathy, that is a condition that can be treated. That, like, psychopathy and sociopathy, which are the same thing on, like, different spectrum. Like, it's a spectrum. I don't know, like, sociopathy and psychopathy used to be considered two separate things, but now they're considered, like, one, like, different aspects of the same thing. Yeah. And like, if you honestly don't feel empathy for people, that is something that can be treated, but, like, don't try and claim that God is the solution there.
No, but I mean, like, I feel like whenever he's talking about moral obligation, in my mind, I always add like absolute or transcendental, because that's what he's really talking about. Like some kind of absolute moral obligation or transcendental moral obligation.
It's like, as an atheist, I'm just like, this is the only life that I know for a fact that I get. This is also the only life that all the people around me I know for a fact that I get. So I want to make their lives as good as possible. I want to make my life as good as possible, and I want to make everybody else's life as good as possible, because I understand, like, if this is the only life you get and your life fucking sucks, that's a bad thing.
Well, and I mean, I feel like apologists like Frank Turek, Christians like Frank Turek, they can't really grasp the idea of, like, I guess, subjective moral obligation. Because, like, everybody has things that they feel morally obligated about, right? Yeah. And that's not going to be the same. Like, my moral obligations aren't going to be the same as somebody else's that lives in a different culture or a different time period.
You guys had people get mad at you when you, like, donated peanut butter to victims of an earthquake in Haiti or whatever. Like, because it's peanut butter, and peanut butter's not the healthiest thing you could possibly do. Like, okay, no, peanut butter's not fucking the healthiest thing you could possibly do, but if you're fucking hungry, it's got protein, bitch.
Well, yeah, so it was orphans in Haiti, and the reason why they focused on peanut butter was because they had, like, they normally went hungry, and so they had these small stomachs, and so to deliver, like, the amount of protein that they would need in a small amount, peanut butter is a perfect thing.
It's cheap fucking protein that they fucking need to live. And people are like, it's not the healthiest thing you could have done. We're like, yeah, no, but, like, dollars per kid helped. It's gonna get like a better bang for the buck than something that is maybe a little bit healthier. But, like, people still found things to complain about with that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we're trying, we're doing our best to make people's lives better. And we want to affect as many people as possible. Peanut butter's fucking cheap when it comes to that. So yeah. But, like, yeah, no, like, and it's like, there's no personal being, then there's no moral obligation to do anything. It's like, no, I have empathy. I feel bad for people that are in bad situations that I can empathize with. Even if, like, I don't have to have been in that bad situation myself in order to understand the empathy there. Like, I can picture myself in that situation and be like, no, that would fucking suck. So I'm going to do what I can to help as many people as I possibly can.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, of course, this is coming from the guy who recently put up a video basically making the case that unless you believe in God, or unless God exists, then graping somebody's okay. Like, you know,
well, and that's the thing. Like, these fucking apologists, they always appeal to God as being the standard of morality. But then when we are like, hey, well, how come genocide was okay? They immediately go to secular morality to justify God's actions. They'll be like, oh, the Canaanites were actually bad people who were sacrificing their children to Baal. Be like, okay, how does that justify killing the children that they were going to kill anyway?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
They were killing them for Yahweh, and that makes it okay. And then you'll, you know, with the whole graping issue, you know, the Bible has a lot of different instances where God has condoned and even prescribed graping women, you know? So, I mean, it's ridiculous. But this is the kind of mindset that we're talking about here with Frank Turek.
Well, Frank is one of the people in my genocide montage where he's like, he didn't have arbitrary reasons for wanting the Canaanites dead. They were sacrificing their children to Molech. I'm like, why would that matter? It's God's command. If you get your morality from God, it doesn't matter what they were doing. It's from God. That's why it's right. But the fact that you are justifying it by appealing to the fact that they were doing heinous, immoral actions means that you don't get your morality from God. You get your morality from empathy.
Yeah, which I like. My response to that is something you just said a second ago, and that's that, oh, okay, so instead of allowing them to sacrifice the children to Baal, you're going to go in and kill the kids for Yahweh.
Yeah.
So the real problem here is that they weren't sacrificing children to Yahweh. That seems to be the big problem.
I mean, and like Judges chapter 11, Yahweh took human sacrifices. You can't say that people didn't sacrifice their kids to Yahweh, because Jephthah sacrificed his daughter to Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like like when Jacob was sacrificing Isaac. It wasn't that, where God stepped in and was like, nope. I was just testing you. You've passed the test, so you don't need to actually kill your kid. Nope. He actually sacrificed his daughter.
Yeah, and then also God had the Holy Spirit or whoever in the fuck kill all the firstborn children of Egypt.
Yeah.
Not necessarily as a sacrifice, but I guess you could make an argument that it was sacrificial.
Stoff says, screw God, I have tentacles. And then Axo says, Stoff, wording. So, yeah. Young Earth Creationist, YEC is Science, says, Scripture is 66 books that does not hold any contradictions. Have you read them? Like, there's literally spots where it's like, in one book it says that such and such king had this many men in his army, and then in another book describing the exact same event, it'll be the same king and everything, but it's like, but he has 1/10 of the people in his army. Like, that's undeniably a contradiction. Like, you can say that they messed up the number, they made a mistake with the number or whatever, but it's still a contradiction. No matter how you harmonize it, it's a contradiction. Also, pi equals exactly 3.
Yeah. And there's a lot of different contradictions in the gospel stories themselves, which I think it's...
I'm going to leave this one to you. I have to pee because too many people have been redeeming hydrates.
All right. The contradictions in the Gospels, a lot of apologists want to try to make it out to be like, oh, this is just the same story told from 4 different perspectives. And I've said this a few times on my channel, that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, because when you read the Gospels, if you were to compare this like in level of absurdity with some kind of like small anecdotal thing, what really happened in my little anecdotal analogy here is that, a dude came up to another guy and shot him with a gun on the street, right? That's what actually happened. Well, what do these 4 accounts say? Well, this first guy says that, oh, he just came out here after hearing a couple gunshots and there was a body on the ground. Right. And then the next guy's like, oh, well, that's not what happened at all. I saw an angel descend down from the heavens, slap the gun out of the guy's hand, and then totally fucked that other guy up with a lightning bolt shot out of his dick. And then he was like, we have all risen, and then went back up into the heavens, and the guy's dead on the ground. And then the next guy, the Luke guy, would be like, oh, well, that's not what happened. It was actually 2 angels, and they just sort of appeared there, and they shot lightning out of both of their dicks and killed the guy, and then that was it. And then there's John, who's got I can't remember if John has 2 angels in it or not, but you get my point. Is like, these are all different accounts, right? Like these are all incredibly different accounts, and to say that they're just from 4 different perspectives, you're just lying about what the accounts say. Like, we can read what the accounts say. Like, even if you want to go back to like a Greek interlinear text and read, the translation from Greek, what the text actually says, we can read what the text says, and they are different things. Of course, my thing earlier was about, obviously the finding of the empty tomb. That's one way. That's just one particular instance in how they're completely different and not just 4 different perspectives of the same event.
Mm-hmm. Did you get into the death of Judas yet?
Oh no, I didn't even go that far.
Yeah, no, because the harmonizations on that one are hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, in one thing it says he hanged himself. In the other one it says he fell in the field and his bowels burst out. Another hats off to you, so we gotta put on funny hats again. Does this count as a hat?
Is that technically a hat?
I'm calling it a hat.
Okay.
This is my hat. Yeah, so like in Acts, it has him falling headlong and his guts spill out. And in I forget which one of the Gospels it is, it says he hanged himself. And so the harmonization is that like his dead body was like hanging there long enough to get bloated, and then when it falls, it exploded when it hit the rocks.
Yeah, I like Papias's recounting of how Judas died, though. Do you recall that one?
No, I don't. Not off the top of my head.
Well, so Papias, later Christian church father, he said that apparently Judas got so bloated that he grew to the width of a street, and then he also had like maggots that were crawling in and out of his dick, and he eventually exploded.
So Steve Weber, I apologize. I didn't mean to delete your thing in the chat, but in my little thing where I highlight chats, it every time I click on it, it like right clicks. And so if I accidentally click on something else, it'll sometimes like your message just got deleted. I've accidentally blocked people from my channel before. So my apologies for that, but you got off light. Yeah, no, there's lots of contradictions. Yeah, this beard's coming off because I still got beer to drink, and I can't drink through that ridiculous mustache. Charles Haywood says, well, he's retweeting Mary Margaret something, who says, interesting moment from last night. DeSantis calls out Haley for her references to the false left-wing narrative that pro-lifers want to put women in prison. So this is a conservative saying like, no, pro-life people don't want to actually imprison women for getting abortions. And then Charles Haywood proves Nikki Haley's point by saying it is trivially obvious that any woman who procures an abortion should be criminally punished. Motive is taken into account for degree and sentence, as with any crime, but many abortions should be charged as murder. Performing abortions should be usually a capital crime. So he's calling for the women who get abortions to be imprisoned and the doctors who perform the abortions to be executed. And this was in response to someone who's saying that that's not something that people actually say.
So,
and then he's like, hold my beer. Watch as I actually say this.
I'm going to literally prove their point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's completely ridiculous. Frank Turek again says, since God by definition is the standard of goodness, any deviation from that standard would be what we call evil. Okay, Frank, why then do you feel the need to appeal to the bad behavior of the Canaanites when justifying the Canaanite genocide instead of just saying it's what God said?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why does it matter whether they sacrifice their kids on the molten hot god Molech if God's will is good by definition? You should just say it's God's will and leave it at that. No justification required.
Yeah, I feel like this also inadvertently divorces this sense of like goodness or evil from morality, because like it's no longer like what is moral and immoral, right? Any kind of distinction that can be made there, because the only distinction that's made is whether or not God approves of it. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't have anything to do with morality.
Yeah.
Other than Frank just defines God as a morally good
divine
thing.
Command theory. Whatever God commands is moral by definition. So when God commands genocide, that's moral because God commanded it.
Right. Well,
even Frank doesn't believe himself when he says this because, as I've pointed out, he appeals to secular morality by saying, well, the Canaanites were bad people, though. It's like, that shouldn't matter. It was God's divine command that they wipe out the Canaanites. Doesn't matter why. God's commands are moral.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you feel the need to say, well, the Canaanites were actually doing really heinous actions that required intervention to stop them, well, then that's something that's beyond God. Because, like, that's empathy. That's human well-being as the standard of morality. That is not God as the standard of morality.
Right.
But Frank doesn't seem capable of understanding that. You know, there was a time in my channel where I was actually avoiding Frank Turek stuff because everybody was telling me what a great apologist he was, that I'm like, ooh, I need to wait until I'm a better counter-apologist before I deal with the heavy hitters like Frank Turek. And then my first Turek video, I was like, really? This is the guy that they've been saying this whole time is amazing? He's such a fucking idiot. And it was just...
There's so many Frank Turek clones out there. I can immediately tell whenever an apologist just has taken notes from a Frank Turek video, because Frank Turek has certain phrases that he says all the time. And if that pops up, Frank Turek clone.
Yeah. My favorite is epigenetics is the structure of the cell. I'm like, that's not what epigenetics is, Frank. It's not even close to what epigenetics is. Come on, man. Do better.
Yeah, that totally confused me.
Yeah, no. So for those of you who don't follow the biological terms, epigenetics is basically, so your genes define what proteins get made. Like your cells read the genetic information and they're like, okay, well, from this genetic sequence, we make this protein. Epigenetics are changes to like the chemical environment within the cell that changes the way certain sequences of DNA are read. So it can change and make a different protein, but it's like, it's a change to the DNA that doesn't change the actual sequence of DNA. It'll just change how that sequence is read. And he says that that is the structure of the cell, but no, the structure of the cell is proteins, which if there are no epigenetic factors, it's just whatever proteins just straight up are coded for by the DNA. So it's like proteins are the structure of the cell. Epigenetics are completely different from that.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the expression of genes, not the actual like resulting proteins. Oh, I think that might have been, yeah, that's the last tweet. So, yeah, we finished later than we normally finish, but before the time that I told you we were going to finish. So there we go.
Awesome. This has been fun.
Yeah, Twit Tweets is always a bit of fun. So Circe and I are actually in the process of working out a collaboration where we might do something with Paulogia. He's got an Eric Hovind thing that we might respond to, as it may be a Twit Tweets replacement thing for that week, or it may be its own standalone thing. I'm not sure. We're still kind of working on that, and it's going to depend on whether or not I can actually like keep up with my video schedule. So we'll see. But yeah, we got some fun stuff coming up. And thank you so much for joining me, John.
Thank you for having me. I always love coming on to Twit Tweets. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So as always, oh god damn it, what is that phrase that I was gonna like? I used to say as always, fuck off, but there was another thing that's okay. My partner always remembers it. I just heard it come from the other room. So as always, God help you, because I sure can't.